Hello, this is Arnold Mangioli for Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, and we are back with the legendary Sandy Campbell, who doesn't like when I rush my introduction and say Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing, but likes me to speak and enunciate clearly. So I'm doing my best. I am so thrilled that Sandy has given us this time and that you're joining us for our little mini series with the premier Broadway accompanist and some of her great stories. So here's one of my favorite Sandy Campbell stories. One of my favorites is Sandy was, I wasn't actually in the room. This was told to me by Tara Rubin. It's actually, she said, was her favorite Sandy Campbell story that she shared with me. An actor came in the room and was all haughty and was all like putting the music in front of Sandy at the piano to play and said, "You won't know this." And Sandy looked at the music in front of her and said, "Young lady, do you happen to have at home the record album of the score, the cast recording of this show that the song is from?" And the actress said, "Yes." And Sandy said, "Oh, well, when you go home, would you pull that off your shelf and look at it? And if you do, you'll see in a box in the lower right, it says musical arrangements by Sandy Campbell. I'm Sandy Campbell."
It's a musical direction by Sande Campbell.
Musical
Okay,
direction. Yes, there we go.
yeah, yeah. I couldn't resist it. I'm usually so nice to people, but she was so insulting to me. How stupid I am that I wouldn't know how to do this.
It was just, and and apparently you handled it with such grace and such class. So the last time we were talking, we were trying to figure out what your first show was and that you conducted, and we determined it was Man with a Load of Mischief.
That was off Broadway, and it was very big success. It ran for perhaps a year, and Reed Shelton was the lead. Reed Shelton from Annie,
Yep, when he
and
was a young man.
um, uh, let me see. I have the name of
I'm
um,
just,
the leading lady. But she died after this, so it's really
oh,
sad. And
oh.
she was this wonderful leading lady. And I'm sorry, of course, I don't remember her name.
Hmm.
Uh,
So if I were to ask you, and I think I know the
Virginia
answer to this,
Festoff.
Virginia Vestoff. Yes, I saw her in I'm Getting My Act Together and Taking It on the Road at Circle in the Square.
Well, you know what she was on Broadway? She was
1776.
1776, right?
Yep.
So it was before 1776 that I did with Reed. Reed didn't do Annie until after Man with Little Mischief too. So the two
Right.
of them were wonderful and very experienced, but they weren't famous yet,
Yeah.
you know. And
Is that remarkable?
also in it was Ray, whose name of course I can't remember, who played FDR in Annie.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Ray Thorne? Is that his
Ray
name?
Vaughan.
Yeah.
So three out of the six, there were six, it's only six people in the show, and three of the six became famous.
Isn't that wonderful when you're working with actors and they're so good and then the celebrity fame thing happens for them? It's such a joy.
Because we ran for perhaps a year. You know, I had an orchestra of two musicians and me, and uh, we none of us ever missed a show in those days. You didn't take days off. You didn't take we did the show. That's what we did, and so we were all there every show for about a year that it ran at the Jan Hus Playhouse
Hmm.
on 70 something street,
Hmm.
73rd, something like that.
Old New York,
Right.
yeah.
Right. And then we used to go across the street to something, I don't remember what it was called, where uh, they would rehearse upstairs in the same building across the street from Jan Hus, and they were writing hair.
Yep.
Bragdy and everybody from involved in hair, they were upstairs
Galt
right
McDermott and those guys.
show.
Yeah.
And so we used to run into them because we all ate dinner there because it was a cheap place to eat on on
Sure.
matinee days. Everybody, all of us would eat there, and it was good food too. It's really good. And actually, Auntie and I went there to the same place. It's been redone. It's upgraded, was kind of
Sure.
funky in those days. But we went there and ate uh, one night, like a year ago, before we were stopped.
Sure.
Uh, and I told him about Ragney and Ratto, and
Yeah.
it says his name is Ratto, Ragney.
Not sure. I know it's Galt McDermott. I'm not sure the other two guys.
Oh, that's McDermott was a composer.
Yeah. I remember somebody at Access Forum brought in a song from Hair, and I'm not sure which one it was, but I was maybe it was Let the Sunshine In, and I was trying to help them with the lyric interp, and you were sitting at the piano going, I was there at rehearsals. They came in every day stoned. These lyrics don't have any meaning. It's stoned people putting words on paper and saying, let's do this, doobie 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 doo. And that's what we did.
It was so bizarre because I was strictly Broadway, I mean theater, and they would go, "Hey man, what do you know? Yeah, sing one. That's pretty good." And this is at auditions. They were sitting in the house, and I'm playing people. And when they brought me, uh, what is this song about? I I I met a man. I lost a guy. I met a
Frank
man.
Mills, Frank Mills.
Frank Mills. They gave me a lead sheet. So there's no piano part, just the lead sheet and no chords. And I said, what chords do I play here? I mean, what? And they said, whatever. So I made up chords for Frank Mills.
Oh, and it went in the show that way.
I have no idea. I mean, I didn't write it down. I don't know what I just played it and just made it up.
That's fantastic. I remember we had one like that in a class we taught together where uh, I was telling the story. Somebody sort of forgot their lyrics in the middle of the song, and I said, "You never have to worry about that. That's not important. Don't make it about that. Just when you stumble, make it part of the dance." And I gave the illustration of the story where Ginger Rogers so famously forgot the lyrics in the middle of one of the songs in "Hello Dolly," and she went to the edge of the proscenium and she signaled the conductor. I know. Let me get to the. You will get to the punchline. She went to the edge of the stage and she signaled to the conductor like this, and the conductor handed the score, and she took it and she looked at it and she went, ah, and then she gave it back to the conductor and went back to her place on stage, and then continued, and the house erupted in applause because they were so excited to see this famous star make a mistake, and it actually got a round of applause. So it shows how you never have to worry about forgetting. That's never important to an audience. Your ability to communicate and give a performance is what's important. And after I told this whole wonderful story, you were sitting at the piano and you just glared at me and you said,
I don't know.
You said it's not Ginger Rogers. I said, yeah, it was Ginger Rogers. And you went, Pearl Bailey. And I said, it was Pearl Bailey. I always heard it was Ginger Rogers. And you went like this. Just pointing at yourself, because every story I tell, you were there. You were actually there at the original of all these legendary stories that I tell.
Yeah, and here's the rest of that story. Do I have time to tell you that?
You do indeed.
She didn't give the music back to the conductor. Instead, what she did was she laid it was accordion. The accordion version where it's all taped together.
Oh yeah, right. The sheet music is like that.
Laid it out on the floor, and so she laid it from the left hand side across to the right, and it's a lot of pages.
Right on the stage.
And then she walked back over to the beginning and went, hit it. And she just, it was there on the floor for her to look to, and if she wanted to, maybe she.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That's just fantastic.
I mean, that's why all went crazy, because everybody went, "Oh my God, we understand that embarrassing moment when you can't remember and you forget and you feel like a fool." And who's that cool? Who is so cool to be able to go, "Yeah, that's it, hit it."
Pearl Bailey. That's
Pearl
who.
Bailey.
That's just brilliant. Another one I really love was I was it was again at Access Forum. We were working with a student on their song, and some actor there was had presented a song, and I don't remember what the situation was, but I remember that I said, you know, this is kind of when they needed to transition the set in Fiddler on the Roof, and they just, you know, suddenly have that little bit of business where everybody runs across the proscenium saying, a new arrival at Model and Zeitels, a new arrival at Model and Zeitels, Model and Zeitel, a new arrival. And then the curtain goes back up, and there he is with the sewing machine, and it gets a big laugh. And I said, and it was the genius of Jerry Robbins who was able to create that and put that in. And from the piano, you said, Robbins, hell, that was me.
I wouldn't. I was no.
That's
I
what you
couldn't.
said. That's what you said. You said. You said it. You said it. You said it.
Wow, I lied.
All right. Well, legends are allowed to lie sometimes. Here's what I'll tell you does happen. That's so fascinating to me is recently, just before the pandemic hit, the Hal Prince exhibit was at the Lincoln Central Library. And I took you to see that, and we went together to it. And my partner was with us. And when we got through the exhibit, the very last part of the exhibit, there was a piano. And there was the score from Cabaret and several other of Hal's shows sitting on the piano. And I said, play. And you were like, no, I'm not going to play. I said, no, 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 nobody's here. Just play. And you started playing. And I don't remember, probably Cabaret you were playing. And it was just part of the exhibit. They had a little stage set up, and they had a little piano set up. And they were like, add your memories of Hal here with these hashtags, etc. And you started playing, and somebody who was a little behind us in the exhibit, a room or two away, started singing and sang really well. And I was like, they started singing along with what you were playing. You know, what good is sitting alone in your, and they were real. I was like, that's a good voice. And then as they worked their way into our room, this woman said, Sande Campbell. And you looked up, you were totally taken by surprise. And she said, I'm Liz Larson, and I got my first job because of you. And right there, she launched into the story about how it was her audition for the tour of Fiddler on the Roof. And Mary Jo Slater was the conductor, was the casting director. And you were at the piano. And it was one of those open calls days where they were seeing person after person after person. And she came in and she did her song. And Mary was so busy with so many things and paperwork and such. And Mary said, thank you very much. And she started to leave. This was one of her first big auditions in New York. She started to leave, and you said, Mary Jo, can we bring her back? I'd like you to hear her again. And Mary Jo said, sure. And you played for her again to do the song over. And Mary paid much closer attention, and Liz booked the job. And she said, in the tour of Fiddler, and she said, and I have you to thank for it, because if you had not done that, I would not have gotten that job that launched my career.
I changed the key. I said, come back and sing it up, and we'll go up a tone or whatever it was. That she was singing it too low, and so it didn't sound. I could hear that her voice was better than that.
Yeah.
So I said, would you try it up? And fortunately, Liz was terrific. She just went, sure, whatever, And I mean, she could have done it a octave higher if she wanted to, but I didn't know her voice. I just knew that it was much better than what she had shown us. And I have to tell you, it wasn't Mary Jo Slater. It
Oh,
was
that's what
Al had the same casting director all those years, who of course I can't remember
was
her
it
name.
Shirley Rich?
Yes, Shirley Rich. It was
Shirley.
Shirley Rich who was there. She was at all auditions, and we were always in the theater. I was the rehearsal pianist. I didn't play the show because there's no piano in the show.
Hmm,
It's accordion.
fantastic.
But I
You
mean,
know,
I faked accordion. I've always been able to play accordion, but I wasn't an accordionist. I couldn't do, showy off things. But in the show of Chicago, I played accordion.
now wait a minute. You're saying there was no piano in Fiddler on the Roof?
None.
There's no piano in that orchestra?
No, it's accordion. No, I'm telling you, I was there
I know you were there. That's why we're here. Wow.
for
That's
a year. I played all rehearsals, and because it was the third year, as I recall, of the show. The turnover was constant. There were so many Broadway shows to audition for that people after a year of the same show, you know, they decided they wanted another job.
Yeah,
And
that was the longest running show in Broadway history at that point.
yeah, it was really good, and I mean, really successful and beautiful. It was a great show, great show. So the people were almost every Monday we would start Monday morning rehearsing the new person who was coming in. And I put in so many new people in the course of that year
Sure.
that it was a full time job for me. It was 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, at the theater rehearsing the show.
Doing
Or
put-ins,
yeah,
doing put-in rehearsals.
was a great job. And it was,
Fantastic.
and I couldn't believe that I was actually doing Fiddler on the Roof. Of all the Broadway shows, there's something that's so full of your heart is so full of that show.
Yeah.
It made me so happy. I loved that job.
Yeah, it worked so well. Was that your first time working with Hal Prince? Because Hal produced it and Jerry directed it, right?
Uh, it was Hal. Yeah, what did you say, Hal? And
Was that your first time working with Hal Prince?
totally. But I I don't know that I ever, because when I auditioned for him for Fiddler for not Chicago, what is
She Loves Me?
the one that Liza made the movie of,
Cabaret,
Cabaret.
of
I knew
course.
it started with a C. I auditioned for that, and because they wanted to see girl piano players, because there was a girl band.
On stage, yeah.
So so he said, "Come," and I was playing. I was working for him, but I was in the pit, so I never actually saw him. I never actually talked to him. I'd hear him say, "Sandy, whatever." If he was at the audition, mostly it was Shirley. So here I am at the audition, and he has no idea that we've ever worked before, although we worked all the time. And I was too shy to say, Hal, when you say Sandy, that's great. But I didn't. And he said, so tell us what you've done. And I said, well, I rehearse shows. And I was too shy. I couldn't say, I rehearse your show every day. I was just shy. I was afraid. And so I would never got a call back. I didn't get the job, but I did do it ultimately. Whatever, they went to do Zorba, the next show, I think the next one at
Yes, it was.
Zorba. And so the pianist on Zorba was leaving. The pianist on Cabaret was leaving to go for Zorba. He went to all the shows. He did all of Hal's shows, and so because I don't remember how it all happened, but anyway, I was asked to replace, not by Hal, but
Uh,
you know,
Probably by Ruthie Mitchell or one of the associates who
somebody else
go into
asked
the band.
if I wanted to take a full time job as opposed to a rehearsal job, which was, this meant I was going to be the rehearsal pianist and in the pit.
Great.
So I was really there. I was really on Broadway for real, and so I was thrilled to do
So
that.
wonderful. Well, that is all the time we have right now, but maybe I can get you to come back tomorrow.
Tell you some more.
Thank you, the legendary Sandy Campbell. This is Arnold Mangioli at Grateful, Ready, Open, Willing. Glad to have you all here.